everybody, and welcome back to Empty Pockets Ironworks. Thank you for joining me this week. We're getting ready to embark on a video series. I don't know what format it's going to be in. I don't know how long it will be. I don't necessarily like doing video series because every time that I've tried to do them in the past, it always seems like the first video generates a few hundred views. Second one, nobody even pays attention to. The final product gets a little bit more than the first one, and it just kind of wanes off. So as far as running a YouTube channel is concerned, those videos don't really garner me a lot of views. However, this is an exciting project. As you recall, about a year ago, or a year and a half or so ago, just about the beginning of the pandemic, we started the T-Rex build. Now, I still have the T-Rex. It's actually on display at our store at our downtown location. It's the head and the neck, and it's been clear coated, and I made a special stand for it. We did not finish the quarter scale T-Rex just because the price of steel has skyrocketed. As anybody that is associated with welding or material handling, that sort of thing, you know steel prices right now are not only outrageous, they are ridiculous. So with that being said, we have to be very mindful and very tactful from a business standpoint as far as what we utilize those materials for. So with that, recently, last weekend, our dragon, our beloved Merida, went to a new home. So super exciting. It's my first large piece that we've ever sold. And the wife and I was talking. We're known for the dragon. We're known for smaller dragons, different sculptures. It seems like everything that we've ever done has always been associated with some sort of dragon. We love dragons. So we need another display piece for the window. And we need another display piece that would be able to be taken to the shows and just kind of say, hey, this is what we can do. So we're going to embark on a video series creating a new dragon. So got the side plate, the mandible, head template, and of course this will have spikes, it'll have fins. It'll be skeletonized. That's kind of my style. It's what I like. Instead of doing it like the previous dragon where it was standing to the side, where it was kind of one-sided, this dragon will be fully three-dimensional, standing on all fours in a seated position with the tail curved around and then the wings upright. And I have it in my head. I don't think we're going to completely cover the wings in steel this time. I think we're just going to kind of leave it tattered and maybe kind of like a spider webby look in between with, you know, the metal will simulate torn flesh and that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be cool. I think it'll be a really fun project. I have the head, the wings, kind of the spine figured out in my mind. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do. As with anything, I make a lot of it up as I go along. I drew this skull template out last night before bed. So is it going to work? We'll make it work. Stay tuned. Thank you guys. Remember to like, subscribe, share. It really helps my channel out. Exciting things are coming. I don't care about steel prices. We're going to make this thing happen. And thank you all for watching. Let's get started. Okay folks, so I didn't mention this before. I'm actually doing this dragon, most of the plated parts, out of 18 gauge. Typically I do everything out of 16 or 14, predominantly 14 honestly. But with this dragon being bigger than the last one, and it typically just being me and my wife moving things around at the shows, I decided it'd probably be a little bit more feasible to try to make it as light as possible. And I think 18 gauge is a good choice, but for the breakover points here, like I do on most of the skulls, instead of hitting it to knock it over, this is thin enough, I'm just kind of rolling it by hand. Main reason being is I don't want to add any unnecessary pitting that I'm going to have to deal with later when I'm doing the shaping. So by locking it into the vise with the bend marks that I did earlier, going just below the bend, with a little bit of force you can bend that over and begin to get our shape. Okay, so far we're looking pretty good. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I might try to dip the corners of the orbits for the eye sockets in just a little bit more to kind of give it a little bit of a shelf. This 18 gauge is working out really well. As I'm forming it, it's becoming a lot more rigid. It's easy to work. As you might be able to tell by the color of the steel, I haven't even fired the forge up yet. I've done all of this cold, which is great. I'm probably still going to rib the inside of it very much like I did the T-Rex. If you haven't seen that, you can reference that video later on. But one of the things I do want to do in the shaping, I love how this is turning out. I love the texture. I love the hammering. I do not like this. So for the bridge of the nose here, I think what I'm going to do, I thought about making a valley tool that was elongated that stood up in the vise. But you know me, I like to try to improvise. So hanging on the side of my vise stand, I've got this, which I use for bending like shepherd's hooks and that sort of thing. If I'm right, if I can pull this off, and I might have to put a rod through the center of it to help hold. This might work. That or I'm going to trash what I've already done. Now if I can hold this steady enough, I should be able to go along here and bring this in. I'm going to do this carefully because I really don't want to screw this up. That worked out good. Still would like to get a little bit further up in here, which I may end up having to make a tool for that. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Empty Pockets Ironworks, day 2 of the new dragon build. Now, as you can see, this is turning out really cool. I'm super happy with it. It's got kind of an avian bird-like look to it, which is what I was going for. Being a child of the 80s, I love TV shows, or predominantly movies like The Dark Crystal. So having kind of the main protagonist in those, the Skeksis, you know, it kind of having that look, it touches on my childhood a little bit. So pretty cool. Very happy with it. I kicked it around yesterday. I didn't know if I wanted the jaw closed. I didn't know if I wanted it open, the teeth overlapping. And ultimately, it means this is going to be in a sitting position. I went with the jaw open. It gives me a little bit more options as far as head placement, whether it's just straight, down, looking to the side. It gives me room to play with it later on. Plus, that also means I can make the teeth basically as long as I want. We can really make this thing menacing. Now, right now this is very light. With it being 18 gauge, this probably weighs in the neighborhood of 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds. So with it being so light and this being a sculpture that will be moved around to different shows and inevitably knocked around, people seeing, you know, being around it, I may do like I did the T-Rex skull and go ahead and line the inside of the skull with some cage, or I used 1/4 inch rod and just basically created an inside structure. Now that's very opposite of what a lot of metal sculpture people will do. Normally they'll build the cage and then they'll build everything else around it. I kind of work in reverse in that way. I mean, it's just my own style. So anyway, hopefully you guys are still engaged. I will probably upload this video at the end of today. I did cut out some templates for some horns. I haven't quite figured out where I'm going to place those yet, whether they're going to be upright or down. I don't know yet. I don't even know if they're going to work because I need to make them 3-dimensional, and everybody wants you to pay for horn templates and that sort of thing, and they're usually for cosplay, for styrofoam. So I'm going to make them up. Maybe we'll add some scale. I don't know. It's like anything. I make it up as we go along. So if you're still with me, follow along. Let's get started with day 2. Thanks. Okay folks, I didn't want to bore you with this process here. Basically I drew up this template for the horns yesterday evening to be exact, and then shaped them using the step of the anvil and just a cross-peen hammer, opposites of course, and then tack them together and then cut off the excess to make them the length that I want. Pretty easy process. Didn't feel like eating up a bunch of video time just to show you guys that. Okay, so here you can see the skull with the horns welded on. I'm really happy with how that looks. Got kind of a menacing look to it. In the forge right now, I've got a bunch of various scraps. Everything from 5/8 inch round bar, 1/2 inch. There's some 3/8 in there and some 1/4. They're all in lengths that are anywhere between 2 inches, 2.5. And we're going to forge tapers on those, kind of give them a little bit of a bend, maybe a little bit of texture, and those will become our teeth. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to weld them on the inside or if I'm going to taper and flatten one edge and weld them on the outside. I think on the outside might look a little bit more cool. Alright everybody, so I got the fins welded on. Sorry I didn't show that. This build here is consuming a lot of time, and I'm trying to keep the video format relatively short, knowing that this is going to be a complete build. So as you can see, very imposing looking, very happy with how that's turning out. I think with the head kind of in this position, it's going to be very, very imposing. So yeah, thank you guys for following along. Stay tuned for video number 2, I believe. I'll correct it if not. But yeah, hopefully sometime this next week I'll be able to get out to the shop again and do a little bit more work on our new dragon. Maybe we'll come up with a name for it between now and then. Thank you all for following along. This is day 3 progress on the skull. Doesn't look like I've done much, but this was actually a lot of work. I actually put the inside of the mouth in. As you can see, I'm using the ball stake now to form the back end where the throat would be. And I opted to do that for rigidity instead of ribbing the inside of it. It does have a few bars in the back that are there that will have a quarter plate welded to them, so that I can mount it to the rest of the spine and continue on with this crazy thing. So, very happy with it. Got a long ways to go, but stay tuned. Operation Dragon 2.0.